Under José Mourinho, back at the Bernabeu, it was a difficult game for them. They didn't have it all their own way, especially in the first half, but they showed a lot of resolve in that second half and a ruthlessness that we like to see.
Yeah, I mean, halftime management and halftime changes do everything. It was nice to see Madrid fans and Spanish football fans celebrate Marc Cucurella, who reminded Madrid fans of what they might be getting. Okay, some people might see the chance that he had, maybe a minute into coming on the pitch, and saying that little bit of quality is what we need, a bit more quality in the final third. But I thought the game changed on a sixpence when he came in yet again, Timsy. His presence alone in that back line, bringing a bit more solidarity, bringing a bit more cohesion. But in the final third was what I saw a real change in. I really saw a sense of leadership and ownership from the front three on a day where any other day, maybe a season ago, 18 months ago, we'd be talking about different results. So José Mourinho, the special one, showing that he still has the special touch.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing I was going to ask. Is this the sort of experience that Real Madrid have been desperate for? Because, as you say, the last two seasons, they haven't been very successful. It's not been the Real Madrid side that we're usually seeing. Plus, with all the big characters, big players that have got in, does it seem like Mourinho is now the perfect fit for them to be able to go on and have a good season?
There's a sense of competition in this squad that in the last 18 months I really don't think there was. And at Real Madrid, there's something unique about Real Madrid, and it's not dropping points in games like this, right? They've been unique for all the wrong reasons. Timsy, I don't know if Mourinho wasn't managing the team, and maybe this was a Xabi Alonso or this was Alvaro Arbeloa, they'd even get this result. I remember matches where they took the lead. So many of these matches, your Gironas, your Getafes, where they got played off the park. I mean, that game with Atleti was 1-1. It finished 5-2. There was this lack of commitment, this lack of professionalism, and really this clash of egos. And Madrid fans, you can say what you want about Madrid fans, but they're honest, they're vocal, and they make themselves very much heard. And on a different day, we probably would have heard boos, and we'd be here on Scoreline yet again saying nothing has changed at Real Madrid. But José Mourinho, not afraid to make some interesting decisions, some right decisions. And I think we see a player like Alvaro Carreras, who I thought was poor in the first half. He may have played one of his last games for Real Madrid, and it's only 2 matches in. That's how much of a difference I saw with Cucurella back in the team. And a sign of warning for Ibu Konate. Ibu Konate cannot be making mistakes that we saw on the goal. He'll get a pass today, but Mourinho, no stranger to having difficult conversations. The team looked more just composed. They had a bit between their teeth, and they played like a team that wanted to send a message, given that Barcelona, they had an expansive win, and they had a statement win.
Well, maybe Mourinho was necessary to maybe close that gap to Barcelona as well, and it's looking good for the moment. Talking about those big personalities in that team as well, we could say egos, but I'll put it as personalities to be kind. Jude Bellingham, he had a great game today. I mean, he had 2 assists. He was everywhere. He was dominant. He was aggressive in that midfield, which is what you get from him. Do you feel like he has to be the centerpiece in this Mourinho side for them to be successful and to go to that next level?
Jude Bellingham is an out-of-this-world footballer. He's a generational talent. He's a joy to watch, and he finally has a manager, not named Carlo Ancelotti in his first season, but he finally has a manager in José Mourinho that I think gets him. I think José Mourinho's been biting and just chomping at the bit to have a player like Jude Bellingham. Jude Bellingham's a player that, in my opinion, would have gotten in the Chelsea teams of old under José Mourinho. He's that good, and he just has this drive about him, much like Steven Gerrard had in his prime at Liverpool. I really think that Jude Bellingham is the crowning jewel of Real Madrid under José Mourinho. We saw it, so much of what happened today, the turnaround and just the uptick in quality, of class, the mentality shift. In that first half, I thought Real Madrid lacked passion, lacked the professionalism, and really lacked the cohesiveness. But the game changed when Jude started winning 50-50s. You have a midfield that has Bernardo Silva, who's going to take time to get his fitness. Fede Valverde, brilliant going forward, but not in a comfortable position, playing as a double pivot. So you saw Jude doing the dirty work, making long busting runs to get in the box and also running back. And I think he sends a message to the likes of Kylian Mbappé and Vinny Jr. that what happened the last 2 seasons is not good enough, and there's a leadership role for him. It almost looked like we saw Jude taking what we saw at the World Cup and playing the same way. He is leading this team with excellence, and this could be that sort of season that when we talk about trophies and individual accolades, this could be that turning of the guard and really turning point for him, where he is the leader, but he's a Ballon d'Or candidate.
Yeah.
He's been that incisive for Real Madrid, and I think if you're José Mourinho, at some point, we might be looking at the future Real Madrid captain.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm saying it now. I think the Frank Lampard that we saw under Mourinho at Chelsea, I think this could be the start of Jude Bellingham of Real Madrid. That prolific, that level of importance. I think Mourinho loves that sort of player, and so I think he's going to thrive. Another important player, though, we can't miss him out. He did score quite a few goals today. It was Kylian Mbappé. He is just incredible in front of it, as we already know. But is he the greatest goal scorer of his generation, do you think?
Without a doubt, I say this without any stroke of doubt in my mind, Kylian Mbappé is the greatest goal scorer we've seen since Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. I know that people are going to have recency bias and say Harry Kane scored 73 goals. I don't care, because what we see for club and country, that is now, he's around 25 hat tricks for club and country, which is insane, Timsy. Insane to me. He's now scored and been involved in 100 goals in 105 appearances. Timsy, this is out of this world stuff. He's the biggest difference maker I've seen for club and country in a long, long time. And I saw a difference in Kylian Mbappé today. Before he got his goals, a lot's been made about him and Vinny Jr. I saw a selflessness about Mbappé where he was trying to set up Vinny Jr. There's a self-awareness that I think he's taken from this World Cup where he's now thinking beyond himself. And I questioned him. Troy Deeney and I had this conversation. We got into this heated debate about which Kylian Mbappé are we going to see this season.
Yeah.
I think that he's starting to answer that. It's one game, but I think this is the first of many. His goal-scoring exploits, they speak for themselves. But for Real Madrid, they need someone who will think about the collective and think about how do I make a difference to impact a teammate and a player who's struggling. Vinny was struggling for confidence. He was struggling to get a foothold in, and he was struggling for buy-in amongst Madrid fans who were wondering, which Vinny are we going to see?
Yeah.
And I really thought once Jude set the tone, Mbappé really took the message, and we see the numbers just from last season. Just in itself, August to December, are you kidding me, Timsy? 29 goals? I'm going to put this out there because I know that we see crazy things and people say crazy things. José Mourinho, when he was in his first stint, he had a player named Cristiano Ronaldo who, during his time, Cristiano Ronaldo was scoring 50 goals for fun.
Yeah.
I think Kylian Mbappé, with the team around him, with José Mourinho at his helm, I think he gets 60 goals this season.
Wow.
Kylian Mbappé is a man reborn. He's got Jude Bellingham around him. There's this competition and this connectedness with Vinny Jr. He's got leaders in the team, and he doesn't have to do it by himself. So 60 goals for Mbappé, I think it's doable.
Okay, with that being said, and with what we said about Mourinho, what he's bringing in, the experience, Jude being one of the main men now, Vinny stepping up, is this enough to close the gap to Barcelona and, I'll put it to you, win a major trophy this season?
Yeah, look, Real Madrid, they've been the butt of every Barcelona fan's jokes because trophies and going trophyless, it almost seems like this era of dominance that we saw under Pep Guardiola is reliving itself. But this is where the drought stops. Real Madrid are going to be right there towards the end because they finally have depth. You see the players that are coming off the bench. Marc Cucurella coming off the bench. Yan Diomande coming off the bench. Brahim Diaz, Carlos Espy coming off the bench. These are profile of players who have a point to prove in their Madrid career, but also have a message to send for their international careers. So the competition is there. The culture is starting to change. And I think they finally have leaders that they've desperately missed in the last 2 seasons at the helm. I wouldn't be surprised into the hunt for 2 trophies next season.
2 trophies. Welcome back to Scoreline. Let's take a trip down memory lane. Mourinho in 2013, the last time he managed Real Madrid at the Bernabeu against Osasuna. I mean, a lot's happened since then as well. 13 years, a lot has happened in football, and a lot has happened with Mourinho, but he is now back at the helm. And we have our La Liga correspondent, Phil Cutremalides, with us. Phil, how are you doing? Good to see you again, as always. And what were your thoughts on that first home game for Jose?
Yeah, it's funny, that game against Osasuna on the 1st of June 2013, Alvaro Arbeloa was in the starting 11 for Real Madrid, and he was the manager of Real Madrid last season, and now he's managing at Fulham. So it's funny how things have evolved over the last 13 years. It was almost like, nothing had changed. José Mourinho was back. His name was cheered when it was announced on the PA system, and then the fans behind one of the goals, the noisy fans, the one that chant all the game, were chanting his name, which is not normal for a manager in his first game at home at Real Madrid. They're a demanding lot, but of course this wasn't his first game at home for Real Madrid. He's been there before. A big chunk of the fans still absolutely love him. You had José Mourinho scarves on sale outside the Bernabeu as well. Comparing the two starting 11s, bear in mind, of course, this was the final game of the season, and they'd already lost the league as well. So it might not have been the strongest possible 11, but still some big names in there. But I think, with the signings that have been made this season for José Mourinho, there are a lot of José Mourinho style players in this team for him in his second time at the Bernabeu. But it went just about as well as it could have gone tonight with the result and the performance as well.
Phil, it's good to see you again. We were texting before the match and having a couple laughs, but let's get into the business of things. This was looking like a typical Real Madrid match from last campaign, where they take the lead, they blow the lead, it's halftime, there's jeers, but then José Mourinho makes some in-game managements. What do you think of his in-game management and some of his player personnel management in this match?
Yeah, I think, by the way, the jeers and the whistles from the home fans, I think we have to remember that the Bernabeu's patience, they don't have a lot of patience with this team, okay? After going 2 seasons without any silverware, I know Jose's back and there are new signings and blah, 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 but if you put in that kind of performance from the opening 45 minutes, which wasn't terrible, but it wasn't brilliant either, then you are going to get some whistles and you are going to get some fans being upset, which is what we saw today. I think José Mourinho, he actually said after the game, he would have liked a cooling break in this game to be able to come in and talk to his players and be able to adjust a few things, because he saw that he was struggling to press Real Sociedad effectively. That's what he said. But he adjusted a few things at the break, and then in the second half they were really, really strong. I thought, particularly in the final third. José Mourinho has said he wants a small squad. In Spanish it's una plantilla corta. I want a small squad, 20, 22 players. He doesn't want too many players. He wants a small squad to build that identity, to build that kind of team spirit, that unity which has defined his management style wherever he's been. Sometimes it's needed to get that us against the world philosophy that he engenders so well. But I think we're seeing that with him, and we're seeing it with the minutes that he's giving around as well. He's got this, he wants to have a small squad, but he's going to try and share the minutes out as well. He's going to try and get everybody feeling involved, and we saw that today. We saw Brahim come on and get some minutes. Even Carlos SP came on and get his little 5 minutes at the end. He's going to share out these moments and make sure that the whole squad is entirely bought in. So José Mourinho, in terms of man management, in terms of squad management, he's pretty good at that.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, a lot of big players to balance there. One of them being Jude. Myself and Michael just talked about how important he is, or how good he can be in this Mourinho side. He seems like a player that Mourinho would love to base his team around. Do you think Jude can be that important a player for Mourinho?
100%. I think we're seeing it in these first 2 games as well. The first 2 games where he basically hasn't had any pre-season. We said it after the first game. He'd had 10 days to prepare. He only came back to training on the 12th of August, and here we are 2 games in, and 2 really big performances from Jude. And physically, he looks amazing, despite only having had sort of 10 days pre-season. He looks absolutely extraordinary. But the level of tenacity as well, as we saw for the goal that he set up for Vinicius, the level of tenacity, the hard work, the spirit from Jude Bellingham, I guess that's kind of what elevates him to another level as a player as well, because the technical ability, he's brilliant, he's strong as well, but it's the mentality that he shows time and time again, which I think elevates him, and I think which makes him a really, really, really José Mourinho style of player. And also this energy that he's got, the movement that he makes, the runs that he makes, he covers so much of the pitch. Too often last season, and particularly in the second half of last season when things were kind of falling apart, Real Madrid were super static in the final third. Somebody had the ball and nobody was really moving off the ball. You know, there was not that much space being created. And I know it's the start of the season, start of a new project. Everyone's got a bit more energy and a bit more desire to move around. But I think we're definitely seeing more runs, more movement from Jude, but also from Kylian Mbappé as well, making those little runs to try and open up space. So it's, you know, let's not get carried away. It's two games that Real Madrid should have, you know, in theory, won, and perhaps won, you know, more comfortably. They needed a last-minute goal against Espanyol, and at times against Real Sociedad, it wasn't fantastic. But I think José Mourinho will be pretty pleased with what he's seen and what he's seen from the new signings as well. You know, 6 players made their debut against Espanyol, and I would say, you know, all of those 6 players have shown to differing degrees that they're slotting in pretty comfortably.
Phil, I'm just going to get to the point. Does this team look different already? I mean, José Mourinho was brought in to change the culture, to reset the standard of excellence. I said it before, I don't think they get that result if this was last season and this time last season, but you tell me, you get to see them week in and week out.
Yeah, no, I agree. You know, I think we saw this kind of game last season a lot. You know, last season, Real Madrid had a decent home record, second best home record in the division. They lost at home to Getafe. They lost at home to Celta Vigo 2-0, and they drew at home with Girona, who got relegated. You know, there were 3 performances there that were absolutely unacceptable for the Bernabeu crowd. And listen, there are fine margins when we're talking about these high-level players, and having someone like José Mourinho with his aura, with his experience, coming in and saying certain things to these players, I think we are going to see them bought in a little bit. And what did he say in his first press conference? We're not going to negotiate on the non-negotiables. And that was a very, very big statement from him to the entire squad, and also to certain members of that squad as well, that there are certain things that he will not tolerate, and certain things that might have been tolerated a little bit too much last season, certainly by the club as a whole. So José Mourinho is there, and football-wise, I think not an enormous change from last season, not an enormous change. 1 or 2 things look a little bit better, but it's the start of the season. But certainly mentality, which was desperately lacking for a large chunk of last season, I think we have seen an improvement.
Right, Phil, last one, very quickly. Does this Real Madrid side win a trophy? And if they do, what one is it?
Barcelona are still the best team in Spain, but if they are going to win a trophy, let's say they've got a chance to win the Copa del Rey, because it's a you know, it's
got a chance, Phil.
Is that, I mean, you know, I think the Copa del Rey is available. We know that José Mourinho is good in knockout football, and I'm being generous here. I'm being generous, but I think, you know, they have a chance to win the Copa del Rey. There we go.
Unbelievable. Right, thank you so much for that, Phil. That was like a comedy skit. Right, Phil, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'm sure we're going to catch up with you very soon. Appreciate it.
Cheers, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Phil. After we were waxing lyrical of Real Madrid there. Right. Some more La Liga action for you coming this week. As you can see, Deportivo Alaves take on Villarreal on Friday, and then on to the weekend, Levante against Real Betis, Real Sociedad take on Espanyol, and the team we've just spoken about, or heard about, sorry, FC Barcelona facing Rayo Vallecano on Monday.